Why do animals act completely different when no humans are watching? You have never seen your dog when you are truly gone. Not gone to the kitchen for 2 minutes, gone. Not stepped outside to check the mail, gone. Truly, completely, no human presence anywhere, gone. And the footage researchers have collected of what animals do the moment they believe they are completely alone is so different from how those same animals behave in front of humans that scientists have had to rethink some of the most basic assumptions about animal psychology entirely. Because here is what the research is showing. Animals are not just reacting to the world around them. Many of them are actively monitoring whether or not they are being watched and changing their behavior based on the answer. Not by accident. Not out of fear. Deliberately. That is not a small thing. That is a level of social awareness that most people never credited animals with at all. For most of the history of animal research, there was a fundamental problem nobody could fully solve: the observer effect. The moment a human researcher entered an environment to study animal behavior, the animals changed. They became more cautious, more performative, more alert. The very act of observation was corrupting the data. Trail cameras changed everything. Starting in the late 1990s, researchers began placing motion-triggered cameras in forests, wildlife corridors, inside barns, inside homes, every imaginable environment where animals lived. And the footage that came back was, in many cases, genuinely shocking. Animals that had been studied in person for decades turned out to have entire behavioral repertoires that had never been documented before, simply because those behaviors only happened when no human was present. Wolves playing elaborate solo games in forest clearings at 3 a.m. Bears returning repeatedly to specific rocks, not to mark territory, but apparently just to slide down them. Deer investigating objects with an almost scientific level of curiosity that vanished completely the moment a human scent was detected nearby. Primatologist Franz de Waal, who spent decades studying chimpanzee social behavior, wrote about how hidden camera observation fundamentally changed what researchers understood about primate behavior, revealing social interactions and play patterns that had almost never been captured during direct observation. Because the animals consistently modified their behavior when humans were present, the animals knew they were being watched, and they had a completely different mode for when they weren't. Your pet is performing for you. Let's start with the animal you probably think you know best. Your dog. Research by animal behaviorist Alexandra Horowitz at Barnard College has shown that dogs are extraordinarily sensitive to human attentional states. They don't just notice whether a human is in the room. They notice whether that human is looking at them, whether they are distracted, whether their eyes are open or closed, whether they are facing toward or away, and they use that information to decide what to do next. In one classic experiment, dogs were forbidden from taking food from a plate and left with a researcher who was either watching them directly, looking away, had eyes closed, or had their back turned. The results were striking. Dogs were dramatically more likely to take the forbidden food when the human was not looking at them directly, and most likely when the human's back was turned entirely. The dogs weren't just checking whether a human was in the room, they were checking whether the human could see them. A human with their back turned was treated as effectively absent. They were performing an ongoing social calculation that most people assume requires human-level intelligence. Now take that finding and apply it to everything your dog has ever done in your presence. Every time your dog waited politely for food, every time your dog didn't chase the cat while you were looking. Ask yourself how you actually know any of that behavior. Reflects what your dog does when you are genuinely not there. Separation. Anxiety cameras set up inside homes while owners are away have documented dogs whose owners describe them as perfectly calm when left alone, running in frantic circles, howling continuously, and destroying furniture within minutes of the owner's departure, then settling immediately the moment they heard the owner's car returning. The same dog, completely different animal, depending on whether it believed it was being observed, is where this gets more complex than just animals misbehave when you're not watching. Researchers studying social species, wolves, elephants, corvids, primates, have found that many animals maintain what amounts to multiple behavioral registers, one calibrated for human presence, one for in-group social interactions, and one that emerges specifically when completely alone and unobserved. Japanese macaques studied at the Primate Research Institute in Kyoto were observed engaging in deliberate concealment behaviors, not just freezing or fleeing when they detected observation, but actively modifying specific behaviors in ways that suggested they understood certain behaviors might be unwanted if seen. Documented case involved a macaque repeatedly taking food from a dominant individual's cache while that individual was looking away when returning to a neutral position before the dominant individual turned back. The macaque was timing its actions to the other individual's attentional state, taking food during the looking away windows and stopping during the looking back windows. This requires holding a model in its head of what another individual can and cannot see at any given moment, a cognitive capacity. Researchers call theory of mind, once thought to be unique to humans and great apes, chimpanzees, have demonstrated this capacity even more clearly. In multiple documented cases, subordinate chimpanzees waited until dominant individuals fell asleep before retrieving hidden food, and actually walked directly up to check whether the dominant individual's eyes were truly closed before taking any action. They are not just avoiding being watched. They are tracking whether specific individuals can see specific things. They have a working model of other minds, and they are using it strategically.